Now he turns to the audience. In your hands, my fellow citizens, because he's just said, but let us begin. More than mine will rest the final success or failure of our course. So he is now turning to the individuals, to the citizens. Since this country was founded, each generation has been summoned to give testimony to its national loyalty. But this is a different kind of patriotism than knee-jerk patriotism. The graves of young Americans who answered the call to service surround the globe. Now the trumpet summons us again, not as a call to bear arms, though arms we need, not as a call to battle, though embattled we are. An example of, how about battle and embattled? What's that an example of? Yes, Jake.
I can't even pronounce it.
Yes, you can. Try. Polyptoton, yes. It's a word that has the same root, used in variation. He hasn't done that much in this speech. He hasn't done it nearly as much as Elie Wiesel has done it. But here it works, I think, in part because it's used very sparingly, not as a call to battle, though embattled we are, but a call to bear the burden. We're back to bearing a burden now, which was mentioned at the beginning of the speech, of a long twilight struggle. He's not going to play Pollyanna here. He's not going to say we have a new dawn coming around the corner. Can we forge against these enemies a grand and global alliance, north and south, east and west, that can assure a more fruitful life for all mankind? Will you join in that historic effort? This is a very idealistic message. In the long history of the world, only a few generations have been granted the role of defending freedom in its hour of maximum danger. Does he say this is the hour of maximum danger? No. But he then immediately goes on to say, I do not shrink from this responsibility. So there's an implication that it is. I welcome it. Now, we haven't heard I at all in this speech much, except at the very beginning. Why now? Why do you think Kennedy would turn to this now? I welcome it.
Because I think he's not saying it as the president. I think he's saying it as a prototype of a citizen of the United States, because he goes on to say that I do not believe any of us would exchange places. So he's kind of a model. He's modeling what he wants them to feel.
Fair enough. I think that's he is combining himself with his audience, and he's going to move to a first-person plural in just a minute. I think there's also another reason. John Kennedy was how old when he became president? What do you think of having a president who's 42 years old, who has been in the Senate not very long, and has been in a party that opposed Republicans, who always said that the Democratic Party was soft on communism? So what is he going to do as a new young leader who is a Democrat? Not only will he align himself with all the citizens, but he will say, and we'll stop in a second, he will say, I do not shrink from it. Now, this is a little bit of a personal message, too. It really is, because one of the things that was said was that in the first summit, Khrushchev was going to test him. And indeed, in their first summit meeting, Khrushchev did test him. And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. You all know this? Where does Kennedy get it from? It's the old motto of the Choate School, where he went to school. Ask not what your school can do for you, ask what you can do for your school. It's true. Now, what does that tell you? That tells you that the more, well, it's true. The more you, probably the most famous phrase in the entire, the more you park language and your love of language somewhere in your head, the more it will later become useful to you. You will know it, you can vary it, and you will be able to employ it. So the old Choate School motto, that's where Kennedy went to secondary school, comes transmuted into this phrase, which will run down the history of political rhetoric in this country as long as that history lasts.